found, who was napping and really doesn't want to be here. So hi, I don't have a lot of dolls, don't have a lot of doll stuff to show. Since last week I sewed this, that was my big project. Yesterday the Delilah Noir doll, I wanted to edit her makeup, not redo all of it. I wanted to leave her eyes alone, although it's a little off on one side and I wanted to touch up the eyeliner. But I just wanted to take off the lipstick and the weird eyeshadow. I don't know how to describe the eyeshadow, the stock eyeshadow on this doll. It's like, it's awkward. It was just this gunmetal, sheer gunmetal, that should have been perfectly fine eyeshadow, but it looked so weird. I can't describe how weird it looked. It just kind of looked laid on top of the doll, like it wasn't part of the doll. And I mean, it should have gone with her makeup, but it just looked like paint on the doll. I can't describe it, but it bothered me, so I took that off very carefully with acetone on a cotton swab, and unfortunately her blush on one side had been applied just a little high, so when I finished taking off the eyeshadow, it had damaged just the barest edge of the blush. And even though, like, if you had looked at the doll normally, you might not even realize there was blush there. Where the blush was taken off with the acetone, it was super obvious, so I took all of her blush off. So this is where she is now. And I thought yesterday I would take her down to the airbrush and get more blush put on her face and maybe some on her body, but I didn't, obviously. And I did not take all of the lipstick out of her mouth either. She does have an open mouth sculpt. And I was originally thinking I would take off all the lipstick, but then I realized not only would I have to paint it back inside for the closed mouth sculpt, but it would have been a huge mess to get out the paint from in there, because you have to like get the acetone in and then really jam the cotton swab or cotton puff or piece of cloth or whatever it is that you're using to take the paint off. Since she's vinyl, it's safe for acetone. But so I went ahead and left that original paint down inside the mouth, so hopefully I can get her painted so that she looks like she has an open mouth and not just a big smear of black inside her mouth. Well, hopefully I'll have that done for next week's video, so I'll have that to show you in next week's video, because I don't have a lot to show you now. I did temporarily, I had put some of the Queen of Squid's eyes into her too. I have gotten back on, I won't say on good terms with Instagram, sorry, Floof. I was trying to cut some mattifur off of Floof and she scratched me as she does, and the scratch is at that stage where it's really itchy and healing, so I'm trying not to itch my Floof scratch. So, Instagram. I installed the Windows 10 app on my desktop, and it's somewhere between using it through a browser in mobile mode and actually having an app on a smart device. So the biggest thing for me to get used to is it only looks at pictures on my camera roll, which is stuff downloaded directly from my camera onto my hard drive. So I can't get edited and cropped pictures. So I'm starting to pay more attention when I take pictures that are going to be able to be square for Instagram. I used to just take the picture and then crop it into a square, but I'm trying to pay more attention to the way I compose things, because I use a DSLR camera, so everything is rectangular. So I'm trying to pay attention to where things are when I'm composing the photos, so that when I just take them out of the camera roll and into the Windows 10 Instagram app, it can be a nice, square, well-composed image that's not too close or too far away or too out of focus. And I can post that way. I can also post multiple images in a single post again. And so far that seems to be working. It's a little limited, but then again it's not. I could also apply filters if I wanted to, but I once read that the whole reason for filters on Instagram is because when it started, everyone still had terrible cameras in their phones, so it was trying to hide the terribleness by putting the filter over it, and my camera's not that terrible. So I'm rambling because I don't have a lot to talk about. So I have been posting on Instagram, and I have been interacting on Instagram. I try to limit my time on Instagram. I try to limit the amount I post, because there's some people think if you post too many different pictures at once, that too often, Instagram might flag you, and there's a theory that maybe that's why I can't do anything from desktop. No one's really sure, but for desktop, for mobiles, for desktop through a browser. So anyway, I'm posting on Instagram again, so I have also posted pictures of the wig that I threw together. You know, the wig I had found in my wig stash that had been on this doll was brown. And you know, brown hair is not my favorite. So, of course, I initially thought of ordering stuff for her, but there were no wigs I saw in the price range I wanted to pay for, because I'm a cheapskate. Anyway, I thrifted this yarn a few years ago, and I've been waiting for the right doll to make a wig for. So this was my first attempt to make a proper glue wig, like around 2002, when I was first getting into action figures. I tried making glued on wigs, and they weren't pretty. So I have seen how people tend to make proper glue cap wigs, so that's what I did. I pulled plastic wrap tight over the doll's head, and then I pulled some tulle tight over the head and wrapped it around with elastic, and then my tacky glue is like 8 years old, so it is super thick. The bottle's almost empty. I'll get some soon, replacement, some new stuff, and it'll be weird when it's not that thick. So I put that on the head in a hairline shape, and then I immediately started just pushing the ends of this yarn into it. The first thing I did was I snipped the yarn really, really short to make the, quote, shaved, unquote, side, the undercut. And then I did all the rest of it with just glue. Let it dry overnight, carefully took it off of her head, and trimmed things. I know people make glue cap wigs a lot, but I don't trust taking it off. Someone recommend, I wrote it down what it's called. Aleene's Liquid Fusion. Aleene's the same company that makes tacky glue, so craft glue company. Something called Liquid Fusion, which is a urethane glue, so that when it dries, it is waterproof. Tacky glue is really just super thick white glue, so it's always going to be water soluble. So if I get into making glue cap wigs, I might try some of that fabric fusion to make more wigs, because I am pretty happy with the way this turned out. My first thought was I should be able to sew a wig. I can sew a wig, I can sew, but I don't have any proper materials for making a really good wig cap. Not up to my standards. So, but I'm happy with the glue cap and the way this turned out. And I went out and got pictures of her in the night, bright sunny morning. And my next thing is to find shoes in this size. Either I will find some to order, or I will finally try making shoes. And I know there are a lot of people who make shoes, but I had the book from about 2000 by Timothy J. Alberts about, it was basically themed around making shoes for Jean doll, but there were other dolls of the same in the book. So I kind of remember, it's one of the few things I regret getting rid of is that book. But I kind of remember the basics of it. They're really need to make a last, which is the shoe-shaped foot form, because if you form the shoe directly on the foot, it's foot-shaped. And shoes aren't foot-shaped, they're shoe-shaped because they have room for your toes to move around. So a last starts the foot shape and then sculpts onto the toes to make the toe box. And then you make the shoe on top of that. And I've been looking at a lot of Welly Wishers shoes, apparently, are about the right size for these feet. And I've been looking at Welly Wishers shoes and Glitter Girl shoes at the same size, and a lot of them are made in the foot shape. They're just kind of wedge shaped. They're not shoe shaped. So I'm a little bit of a doll shoe snob, so like part of the reason I haven't been making doll shoes is because I didn't start making them in 2000. So if I had, I would be good now, but I haven't, so the first things I'm going to make are going to look terrible. So I've got to get over my perfectionism and remember that just because I've never done it before, but I've done stuff like it, and I'm good at doing things like it, doesn't mean I'm going to be good at doing that. And yes, I am rambling because that's all I have to talk about with these doll wig I made, this doll face I took off, and getting Instagram going. John did get his birthday box, so if you want to see the stuff that I sent him and the dolls he's dressed and put together to wear some of the stuff, he's doll junk on Instagram. And I went into Walmart today and I looked at Wild Hearts Crew. They don't seem to be flying off the shelves in this Walmart. So at this point, I'm kind of hoping for them to go on clearance before I get any. But maybe I'll change my mind in a week or so. I don't know. Walmart was also setting out the Halloween stuff, so I gotta look at some of that. And what I didn't need to see is I went in there just to pick up food for the kiddo, and I was walking through the back of the store, and I walked past the end of the fabric section aisle, and they have these big bins with pre-cuts. Now, toward the front of the section, they're pre-cuts. Pre-cuts is cloth it's already cut. You don't have to take it to the cutting table. And they have like 5-yard pre-cuts, I think, at the front that are nice cottons with prints on them, But these pre-cuts in the back of the aisle are weird. I don't know if you remember, 15 years ago, Walmart would have cloth that was $1 a yard or $2 a yard, and it was usually weird. Some of it was really, really weird. Some of it was really cool weird. And I'm pretty sure that was mill ends, which mill end is when someone who makes clothes, like industrial clothes or curtains or commercially make things out of cloth. The mill end is after they make their production of 100,000 units. The mill ends are the cloth they have left that they're done with, they're not going to use anymore, so they sell to a jobber, and then the jobbers sell the mill ends out to different places. So Walmart was getting a lot of mill ends, and I cut so much mill end cloth back when it was $1 or $2 a yard. But then they phased that out. Then they phased out their cloth section completely, and then they brought it back, and then they kind of brought in mill ends, but it wasn't any good, and they brought those back. So now they have these pre-cuts in the back that are pretty obviously mill ends. They're not remnants. They're not things that the store's selling. So the basic is I did not need them, but I bought some. And these are pre-cuts. These are 2 yards for $4, so $2 a yard, but they're knits. And I've been wanting to sew more knits, and it's kind of hard to find inexpensive knits, and it's really hard to find thrifted knits. I'm going to have a pile of them. But I have been making things. I have been sewing stuff. The next project I want to make is to sew a jacket for the kiddo, and then I might sew a hoodie using the same pattern for me. So I bought these knits to possibly use this. I'm pretty sure these are 60-yard wide too, so there's a lot of cloth here. And this has a terry interior. I'm pretty sure, like all of these, they're just labeled assorted. They don't have fiber content on it. I'm pretty sure this one, if not 100% cotton, is very heavily cotton. And I do like that sort of pinky mauve look. So that will be a nice jacket. And this one I waffled on because it's not really one of my colors. My colors not like this one. But I kept thinking, this would just go great with this dress I'm wearing. And I'm also pretty sure this is heavily cotton. I won't say pure cotton because the backside is very polyester fleece feeling. But this is a nice amount. Again, I'm pretty sure the pattern that I have that jacket for calls for right at 2 yards of cloth. And that's for a really long jacket. I'd probably make it shorter too. So that will be fun. And this one I picked up and my hand almost immediately started itching, which means there is wool involved. I'm sure it's a blend, it's not 100% wool. It's good basic gray knit. Not too heavy, but it should make a nice jacket also. Possibly a dress, probably jacket. And then the absolutely ridiculous one that I picked up, and I did not need it, but it's what made me decide to buy everything anyway. What's this stuff? Ruffly knit. It is very synthetic feeling. I mean, this is, I'm sure, pure polyester. And honestly, the first thing I thought when I saw this is I want to make just some ridiculous leggings or pants. And then the leftovers will be very nice for doll clothes. Again, not that I need cloth. I don't need cloth. I didn't need this cloth. But I'm convincing myself that since I am actively sewing things and I've been going through my clothes in my closet and finally saying goodbye to t-shirts and things that don't fit me, so I need to sew replacement, easygoing knit stuff for that. I couldn't talk myself out of buying it. So by next week, I might have her done, and I might have sewn a lot more clothes for me. But like I said, if you want to see doll clothes I've sewn, you can go to Doll Junk on Instagram and see the stuff I sent to John. And thanks for watching. That's it. Yeah, I feel like this is probably one of those that I feel like I haven't said anything. I've probably been talking for 20 minutes, but we'll see. Thanks for watching. Again, I hope I will get the doll content balanced out. Especially hope I get her airbrushed up nice and get some interesting look for her. Because I'm not used to doing face-ups still on proper ball jointed type dolls with inset eyes, and that's a whole aesthetic. That's a new challenge for me. Alright, I'll stop talking now. Thanks for watching.